to the TFW podcast, episode 19. That's freaking wrestling. I am your host, Matt, and joining me are two of my favorite people that don't know football as much as they do professional wrestling. My co-host, Rhodesia and Eshaun. What's going on, guys? How you guys doing this week?
I guess I gotta pay up today. So I'm doing
you gotta pay,
good until I have to pay up.
You gotta pay the piper. We know what's going on.
I ain't paying no one. I'm sipping on my tea. I'm good.
We know what's going on. Hopefully you have your shot in front of you, sir. Do not be a female and not cash out on what you were supposed to cash out on. I'm sorry. Sorry, Rhodesia. Sorry,
Can't say
Rhodesia.
female.
Okay, woman. Is that better? Woman tendencies? Is that better?
No. Just say that you can't punk out.
Okay, there you go. You cannot punk out.
You can't punk out.
You cannot punk out.
I never did any certain kind of deal.
We talked about it at the end.
Yep.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, last weekend we talked about it on the podcast. We had the NFL playoffs, and I have the results right here in front of me. Of course, we all know Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. So shout out to those two teams for next weekend. But between that, Eshaun tried to pick the Eagles for both games.
Twice. Yeah.
Back to back. And then after we kind of made sure he knew the rules of the game, he ended up going Eagles and Bengals. So Eshaun went 1-1. Rhodesia went Kansas City and the 49ers. Good picks, but you also went 1-1.
Yep.
And myself, the guy that knows ball, did pick Kansas City and Philadelphia Eagles. Went 2-0. I am clean this week. No shot for me. That leaves the shotting up to Rhodesia and Eshaun. Any parting words before you guys go into the deep end of whatever choice of shot you guys have?
Not going to be able to do it.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm not going to punk out. I really thought 49ers was going to win, but the Eagles showed, nope, we are the leaders of this conference, and we're going to show it and prove it. So,
well, when half your team
twice.
goes out injured, it's kind of hard to win a football game when you don't even have a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. Well, so since he's being a punk, I will go.
This is some peer pressure. Goodness.
Right down the hatchet. Very nice job, Rhodesia. Very nice job. All right, so it hit. You feel pretty good? Are you all right? Who knows? This may be your best podcast ever now that you've taken that shot.
Because I definitely can't read my notes right now.
So, Eshaun, are you on record as saying you are not going to do this shot and not be the teammate that you're supposed to be, not being a man of your word? Basically, all the negative things that I can throw on you, you are saying is absolutely 100% confirmed about you right now.
Number one, I never agreed to this. And what kind of man would I be if I didn't teach my kids not to subdue the peer pressure? No, sir. I got me some tea. That's all for me.
All right. So let's move right into it then. And at that point, Rhodesia, we'll talk about him off the podcast. It appears Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin will not be wrestling at this year's WrestleMania. Word is Steve Austin turned down 2 mega matches. It was offered for him, one, to fight Roman Reigns. He turned that down, allegedly. It was also offered for him to wrestle Brock Lesnar. That was also turned down by Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I am personally disappointed in that, but it is what it is, of course. Rock and Austin may still show up in WrestleMania. I still think we see them somehow, some way, Mania weekend in LA. But yeah, it would not be in a wrestling capacity. Allegedly, the word is The Rock is leaving the door open for next year in Philadelphia at WrestleMania 40, which is one more year later, where he's still going to be doing movies next year and all that kind of stuff. So
and one more year older.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. But what's your guys' thoughts on no Stone Cold, no Rock, allegedly wrestling this year at WrestleMania?
I think this is a falsity. I think both of them are going to show up at WrestleMania. I think Roman, Lord, I think Rock is still going to have a match in some kind of capacity. And if you're talking about last time, Austin was offered an enormous amount of money. Man, money talks and the bull crap walks. So I think I'm gonna see both of them.
I don't know about that, but I wonder who does Stone Cold want, right? Like, he doesn't want Roman. I get why he might not want Brock, right? He is, he's pushing it. I don't even want to go to Suplex City now. But I wonder, who does he want? Like, is it a money situation? Is it the right opponent? Like, that's who I'm interested in knowing. I don't think we're seeing Rock at all. Hey, Rock always is in great. He looks physically good, right? So he's going to look good if he were to come back next year. I hope to see him at some point, anytime. But I'm just curious as to, man, like, who do you think Stone Cold will want if he's saying no to Roman?
I don't know. I mean, they said that we talked about it last week on the call. It's on the call on the podcast. They said they upped his dollars significantly. It was a high payday. He, nixed it, and then they came back and gave him one. To your point, I think the Brock would make sense. He can't, at his age, I feel like, go to Suplex City. He can maybe take two in a match, but you got to be real careful, of course, coming down on your high shoulders and your neck. So I get that one for sure. I am sure, though, they could have made a match work where it would have been incredible. The story is there. He walked away and took his ball and went home years ago because he didn't want to put Brock over. They could have went back to that. So the story was kind of there. We know the story for Roman was pretty simple. GOAT versus GOAT. And they could have run that the same way they kind of ran Rock and Hogan years ago at 17, I believe it was, where it was icon versus icon. So for him to turn that one down too, then that just tells us he didn't want to wrestle this year, which is interesting.
No, he saw what Roman did to KO. He was like, no, I'm straight. I don't want to take those steps.
Well, I think he said no before the Rumble match.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's roll with what I'm saying.
He said no. So that is that. But like I said, me personally, I am a little disappointed we would not get either one of those two in the ring. And I'm typically the guy that I'm good with not having legends on these shows. But when you're talking Rock and Austin, whenever we get the chance to see Rock and Austin, I would be all about it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Speaking of big stadium shows, Royal Rumble. Of course, we just had that last week. Thank you for everybody who tuned in either to the live stream on Twitter or YouTube, or listen to the podcast when we loaded it this past Sunday. If you have not listened to it yet, check it out. But Royal Rumble did massive numbers. 2 million viewers, which is up 50% from last year in regards to viewership on Peacock, which is huge. They also had the biggest gate in Royal Rumble history as well. They announced 52,000. I think the number was closer to 50,000, but that is still massive for any show, of course. They're doing some really, really good business. I thought this was interesting. Today, the Hollywood Reporter had a write-up on WrestleMania. They talked about WrestleMania is going to generate $14 to $15 million in sponsorships this year for the WWE, which is great. This is where I get a little worried. Sponsorships include Pepsi, Take-Two, Mars, Snickers, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Then it states, yes, there will also be a sponsored match on the show. So we had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at the Rumble.
I got one. The Fruity Pebbles John Cena.
There you go. What is the sponsored match this year at WrestleMania? You're going, Rhodesia, with the Fruity Pebbles John Cena match.
There we go.
But it says Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's not Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, well then let's go Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Isn't
Cinnamon
that all part of
Crunch?
Post anyways? Cinnamon.
But it didn't say
Toast
it didn't say
Crunch.
Post. Okay, so you're going Cinnamon Toast Crunch John Cena match.
Yeah. Why not?
That is horrible. Eshaun.
Hey, but you know
Pepsi, what? Look, you got Pepsi, you got Take-Two, you got Mars, Snickers, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
What's Take-Two? But what is Take-Two?
Video game. Yep, video game company.
Oh.
Yeah, makes the WWE game, NBA.
Oh.
But you know what? That marketing works, man, because I meant to go buy a pitch black Mountain Dew for the event. I was gonna get me a zero sugar, because I'm on that no carb diet right now. But hey, you know what? We know of a wrestler that can maybe get out of his contract that has a finisher called the Pepsi Plunge. And we might see a Pepsi Plunge match, right?
Who's that?
You know, you used the word several times earlier to describe me. So
that's what. Okay, got it. Well, I'm just surprised you would do Mountain Dew even though it's sugar free, but you won't do a shot amongst your team.
Because there's no such thing as a zero Mountain Dew carb, whatever he tried to say. That's not even a thing. It is pitch black sugar.
We sell it at my store. We got it.
There is no sugar Mountain Dew pitch black. Even
Zero
Cody
sugar.
drunk it. Even Cody drunk it. And Cody's like, I haven't had sugar in 6 months,
like
months or whatever he said. Yeah. Yep. He's like,
Wait, look, I don't look like Cody though, man. I'm just saying.
It is Black History Month. We do have some sad news to report. Condolences to the family of Lanny Poffo. From all people, Hacksaw Jim Duggan announced it today on social media that he did pass away. So that was sad to see. If you guys don't know who Lanny Poffo is, he is the real life younger brother of the Macho Man Randy Savage. And he did pass away at the age of 68. Poffo did wrestle in the WWE. He was Leaping Lanny Poffo, and he was also the Genius. And he was one of the wrestlers that I love to hate back in the day. I'm sure Eshaun remembers him quite fondly for the same reasons as well. He wrestled in the WWF from 1985 to 1992. And then I believe he did come back and had a small, quick run in 94. So rest in peace, and our thoughts and condolences to his family. Rhodesia definitely does not remember watching Leaping Lanny Poffo work back in the day. Eshaun, I am sure you do. Any memories of Lanny Poffo that kind of popped in your mind when you thought about him today?
One of my favorite wrestlers of all time was Mr. Perfect, and he was, I believe, Mr. Perfect's first manager. So I have fond memories of the two of them coming out to the ring. I had known of him for quite some time, but the Genius persona is actually what I remember him most as. And I thought he did a really good job with those poems. You know, he was very unlikable. So rest in peace, Lanny.
Yep. If you guys don't know, his gimmick was he was the Genius. So he would come out with the cap and gown like he just graduated, and all of his promos were like poems, which he actually wrote poems.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
In real life.
Yeah,
but it was all like heel heat. So it was cool. And then he kind of did the same thing for his Hall of Fame speech, where he ended it with the poem. So once again, thoughts and condolences to him. Rest in peace to Lanny Poffo. Rhodesia, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
The GOAT of football did retire this week. He said he's retiring for real. This time, that is Tom Brady. My question to you is, who is the Tom Brady of professional wrestling, and why is it John Cena?
Outside of stating the obvious?
Which is what?
Him not marrying Nikki Bella.
Oh,
and
wow.
You could draw the parallel. You could draw the parallel there with.
Sheesh.
With
I wasn't
Giselle
talking anything
oh, okay.
With his personal life, I was talking just strictly on the
we
field.
Going deep.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's see.
What's up with that shot? What you have again?
It was a Yellowstone shot of bourbon.
Thank you, Rhodesia, for being the upstanding woman that you are and doing what you should do. And that is when there is a bet made on the TFW podcast, do not chicken out and try to come up with some excuse of, because I'm trying to teach my kids, don't succumb to peer pressure. I think what it really is, guys, if you really want to know, is Eshaun knows that he can't perform if he takes a shot. And he didn't want to be on here bubbling and stumbling and fumbling throughout the entire podcast. But you still got to own up to it. You still got to say, you know what? I need to do a better job of watching football. So when I come on my platform, I can make sure I am as detailed, as research as possible, so I don't have to take this shot. But I digress. Anyway, back to Tom Brady and John Cena. So, of course, to me, the correlation is both of them are looked at as GOATs right now. I don't really think that John Cena is the best wrestler ever. Just like I don't think Tom Brady is the best football player ever. But if you look at their reigns, you look at how long Cena's been on top, you look at how long Brady's been on top, it's a no-brainer, for me. And how long they've been doing it for. I think we were just talking this week to really think about Cena. Man,
It was
18 years, right? 20 years.
I thought it was 20. Yep.
Yeah, and like I just watched something earlier today with him and RVD at One Night Stand. And it was like, that was, man, what was that? 2004? Maybe?
Something like
2006?
that, yeah.
One night stand
Something
was
like
a
that.
long time
And
ago.
again, and RVD is still active, but he's not active to the level of what Cena has been active before this year. So shout out to Tom Brady. I was always a Tom Brady hater when he was with the New England Patriots because they're cheaters. But he did go to Michigan. Shout out to our home state.
Two of them.
And he's now
Go Blue.
gone. So now I'm going to assume we get to see the Tom Brady that everybody loves about him, said how funny it is, how caring he is. That was kind of the Tom Brady we never saw. So now hopefully we get a chance to see that. But I did want to shout him out. Kevin Nash. So this was interesting. Shout out to my guy, Kyle, who is a friend of the show. He sent me this audio earlier today. I am going to play it for you two. I'm going to assume neither one of you heard this or heard about it because we would have talked about this. I'm going to assume that he is kidding on this. Okay? But I want to get your guys' thoughts.
You said
Nash
he's
says
what? Tipsy?
He's kidding. He's kidding. He's joking.
Okay.
Yes. Nash on this clip states the WWE was indeed sold to the Saudis and then sold back to WWE. This was taken from his podcast, which is Click This. So I am going to pull this up and let me know if you guys think he's kidding on this or he is shooting. So I am pulling it up. Let me see. Let me find it really quick. All right, so let's see what we got here.
Yeah, and it's just like, we're all gonna go. Nobody loves him some Kevin Nash.
All right, here we go.
Quite like Kevin Nash.
Pasquale Maggiore, when it comes to podcasts and other media, how much behind-the-scenes information is too much information? And is it too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube? Well, yeah, I mean, God, we know everything right away. We know every behind-the-scenes, every locker room incident that happens. We're debating on the sheets. Well, this is Ask Nash. This isn't Ask Shawn. Go ahead.
Well,
Do we know too much?
I mean, I think that we keep something. We keep our cards at times. Like a lot of people don't know, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but WWE was sold to the Saudis, and then was bought back. Crazy, not known, but happened.
2-day deal. It happened, and then resale.
Vince made $1.6 billion on the sale, so you can go figure that out.
In oil. How about in the house? Anyone have a question in the house?
That was from Kevin Nash's podcast. Click This. When I heard it, I kind of took it as he was ribbing, he's joking, but he didn't have a tone that he was joking. I'm gonna throw it to you guys. When you guys, is there any way that is possible that WWE did indeed sell to the Saudis that week that we heard that, and through all the negative backlash, the WWE rebought it right back?
Okay, so a number of things is going on in my head. So if this is true, because I think it's a lie. I think that this is a rib. I think this is a joke. If Vince actually made $1 billion, he's going to go to prison just like the FTX guy, just for starters. 2, I thought when you're a publicly traded company, I thought there was other red tape you have to go through to sell the company off. I thought you had to get certain rights from the SEC. So I would like to know how that played out. Was it just like a verbal agreement? Hey, something off the record, but again, how would Nash know that information unless he's still that close to Vince or whatever? I just think it's a rib. I don't think this, from what I just heard there, could actually happen without a few people going to prison.
Yeah, I think it's all cap. Do you listen to his podcast, or have you heard much of his stuff?
No, I
listen.
heard just bits and pieces, from his show, but no, I haven't listened regularly.
He tells some horribly morbid jokes, and he does it. It sounds like he has a very straight tone to a lot of it. He had joked something about putting a gun to his mouth or something like that.
Yeah, well, I don't think that was he said it was a joke. I
he
think
said
it was
a
tongue
joke,
in cheek.
right? And he's
But I also
tongue in
think
cheek, just
that
like
that's
this
kind
one
of how
was,
he felt.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, if that's a joke, I mean, this certainly has to be a joke as well, man. Hey.
And then why he out there dry snitching? So if this is the truth, why are you out there saying that Vince just made $1.6 billion in oil? Oh,
Well,
so
he
you
didn't
got
say in
people out
oil.
for your head now.
His co-host said in oil. He didn't say that.
Okay, got it.
But I'm going to assume that he was kidding. But I did think that audio was worth listening to, because if some chance that is accurate, holy hell, are we in for another Wall Street Journal fiasco here?
Hey! I want to put a pause though, real quick. I want to let all our supporters and fans know that the budget has been upped. That now we can play audio on the podcast. I want to thank everybody for their support. They allowed this active technology to hit our podcast in our ears. Shout out to Matt for figuring it out. We made it, y'all. Thank you, everybody.
We legitness. We legitness.
So we all agree that he's probably kidding on that. He's joking. And speaking
I
of
hope to
joking
God he was joking.
and kidding, I said it last week. Ric Flair has doubled down this week. I told you guys last week, I'm about over Flair. I said he's doing a little too much. I talked about that. Did you guys hear his statement this week about when and if Charlotte Flair beats his and Cena's 16-time world champion record?
No, I didn't. But I want him to talk his stuff if he feels that's the case. He's always been repping her.
Did you hear about this?
No, was he gonna show his penis again?
No. Thank goodness. No. He said that when and if Charlotte beats John Cena and Ric Flair's 16-time world championship reign, she is going to surpass Serena Williams as being the biggest female sports star in the world.
I'm about to get some water. I'll be right back.
I could have went with this one. Right. Could have went with this one. I have one for Flair.
Go.
That's how I feel. I said it last week. I was getting tired of him.
Did he say
I'm
that
over it,
like
man.
during Black History Month, or was it before Black History Month?
No, I think it was before yesterday.
Okay, well,
So
okay. I'll allow it.
I think he got it in like around January 31st, because he would have definitely been X'd. You'd been canceled. Dwayne, sorry, I know that's your favorite wrestler, but he would have been trashed if he'd have said that during Black History Month. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. He's got to relax. Enough, Flair. Enough.
I can respect it, though, for real.
No,
real talk.
You can't.
Being a
No, you
parent, I
can't.
could absolutely. Yes,
No,
I can.
you can't.
Yes, I can. I could. But
Okay.
as a fan, I think he's absolutely ridiculous. But I think for him, he absolutely should. I mean, he's always been that. Every time he talks about Charlotte, he's crying. So this is like not a surprise. This is probably something that he truly feels.
I actually respect that. I think that's a good point. He hyping his blood up. Yeah.
I think it's full of hyperbole.
Monday Night Raw highlights. I thought Cody's promo was incredible. Everybody knows that Eshaun is the Cody lover on the pod, so I won't spend too much time on it. I'll give it to him. But I do have a question, seeing we just came off of the Flair piece. Who's going to cry more on camera when it's all said and done? Is it Cody Rhodes or is it Ric Flair?
Cody.
I'm going to go Flair just because Flair's got like 40 years on him. But I think Cody's going to give him a run for his money before it's all said and done. And I'm happy for Cody. Like, I love that type of emotion. Show your emotion. You know, like that, once again, it shows how much that means to you. But boy, oh boy, Cody got some faucets in his eye holes. Whenever something happened, Cody gonna give you those waterworks, and then we know it's legit. So shout out to Cody.
Yeah.
But I love this promo. I thought it was the perfect promo to cut on, coming back from his injury and then from that Rumble victory. I still do have a problem with him being 30th and then winning it like that. I would have much rather him been earlier, but I thought his promo set the stage fantastically for what his mission statement is going forward. So Eshaun, like I said, I'll kind of throw it to you because you are the Cody big fan on the pod. What did you think about his promo? Was it the perfect type of tone for you? And was there anything that you wish he would have hit on that he didn't?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a couple of things because that was my moment of the week, man. As you said, I am a huge Cody fan. I've been riding for Cody since day one. He's my favorite wrestler. And I just a sidebar. I remember the first time I ever met Cody. It was 2015 in Texas. Is that where we were? And we were at a fan access.
Oh, was that
it was
Mania,
in Dallas,
right?
It was in Dallas at the fan access.
Yep.
And you go to those fan accesses and it's like almost like a rat race. It's like it's so packed. These lines are so long. A lot of times you stand in line for one person and you don't get to see them, and all of a sudden you get to the top of the line and somebody else because time's up. And I remember walking by and Cody was like in line. It was like nobody in his line. And this is the time he was like Goldust. I mean, not Goldust, Stardust. He was Stardust at the time.
I remember.
But he was there as Cody Rhodes though. And I remember going up to him, and I was so shy. I like seeing like my favorites, my stars. I kind of freeze up. I have a hard time talking to him, but he was so personable. He was so nice. Like he just, hey, what's your name? Put his hand on my shoulder. He's just a genuinely cool dude. Every time I see him, he's just a genuinely really cool guy. And we all been to these fan sessions. Sometimes wrestlers, they're trying to get you in and out real quick, like Sasha Banks. Like, they don't spend that time with you, man.
That's not fair.
He made sure to spend
Sasha
time.
Sasha spent time with me. Don't do that. Let's
okay.
not do that now.
Yeah, did he? Did she? Okay.
You met her. You met her, didn't you?
Yeah, she just said, "Hey,
okay.
Enjoy your weekend."
So she probably knew in the year Lord and Savior 2023 you would have a podcast. You would not do what you were supposed to do. She probably just ain't respect it. She was like, man, get out of here. I see the type of guy you are. Where she knew I'm an upstanding individual. She spent some time with me. So shout out to Mercedes. We appreciate you.
Shout out.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
But he's just a genuine guy, man. He comes across so genuine in his promos. So I'm just happy, honestly, to see him doing big things, getting big reactions. I can't be more proud of him as a fan. I mean, I love it.
What was your thoughts?
A wonderful interview. Again, I don't want to steal any of Eshaun's thunder there, but just happy to have him back. Again, I'm still was battling with seeing Cody on WWE TV. Matt, you know how I felt. Eshaun, you know how I felt about him actually coming over to WWE.
So upset.
Yeah.
Were you?
Rhodesia sometimes gets on her high horse about things, and it's like you got to talk her off of it. Kind of the same thing with Undertaker losing to Brock at Mania, where she was ready to legit leave the stadium.
I was ready to go.
And it was the same thing for when Cody left AEW. She was just like, oh, I have nothing to do with Cody. I cannot believe he turned his back on everything that he said. I was like, can you please relax and understand it was this man's vision and goal to be in WWE and win that championship? It was time to go.
I do see the bigger picture today. I do. I really do.
She was
but at that time, I was. And I should have been, because my passion for AEW blossomed because it came from that, we're going to be this alternative to the WWE. And the person who was spearheading this whole revolution was Cody Rhodes. Just for him to 2 years later flip-flop and go back to WWE.
And they gave us this alternative, right? Which is still around
for sure.
So yep.
Yeah, no. So now today I'm okay with it. I'm 100% okay with it, and seeing his pomp and circumstances and just seeing his emotion with all of this. Good for him. I'm happy he did that, for sure, for his family's sake and his bloodline there. But great interview there. I don't think there's really a time, even with Cody in AEW, that I've ever felt like I didn't like his mic skills. I've always liked that. I don't really care so much for his matches because he's kind of that old school storyteller, and I do like a lot of the spots and high, impact, fast paced matches. Cody tells a story, and that's kind of just not my preference. But I know it's great in wrestling. But just to me, it's just not my preference. But I think he did well.
You know what it is though? It's not that for you. It is you're not that emotionally invested in Cody, so the slower type matches you don't care about, because on Roman's 2+ year reign of his matches, he also wrestles the main event style, slower 25 to 29 minute type match, and you've never once watched a Roman match and felt like, oh, this is slow and plotting. Like this, come on, let's get.
But
to the
I have
end of
it. I have live
because you're invested.
I have live though. But I have live. I remember H and Roman.
Oh, that don't count. They went like 33 minutes. And we've sat there for 8 hours at this point. Guys, like, just get to the finish. We know Roman's winning. We don't need the Stephanie bump. We don't need to bump through the table. We've legit been in this arena for 10 hours, including the 2-hour pre-show, the 2 hours to get into the arena. And it's 100,000 people in here. Just let's go home. Let's go home. Yeah. I did think it was interesting. I did put up a poll today on Twitter surrounding Cody and Roman. And I said, do you think you'll be as emotionally invested in Cody and Roman come WrestleMania as you currently are with Sami and Roman? Before I give these results from today, Rhodesia, I'll start with you. Yes or no? Do you think you'll be as emotionally invested in seeing Roman and Cody come April 2nd or April 3rd when they lock horns in Hollywood as you are right now, this moment, in the Sami and Roman story? Just Sami and Roman. So not Bloodline, not Usos. I'm talking just Sami and Roman Reigns.
You already know this answer for me. Of course, I'll take the former. I'd rather be more emotionally invested in Cody and Roman. I am not invested emotionally in Sami and Roman at Mania. I've said that for weeks now.
I didn't say it. I didn't say at Mania. I said as of right now. The way you're emotionally invested in finding out the next step in what Sami and Roman's going to do you think you're going to be as emotionally invested come Mania in Roman and Cody?
That's a really loaded question there. So no, I think right this very moment, I'm more emotionally attached to Sami and Roman. What's going to happen next? I am more emotional about that. Yes.
Then you will be come April 2nd to see Cody and Roman.
But how would I know how I'm going to feel on April 2nd? Because you said now.
That's why it's a hypothetical question.
So I'm going to go back to my first statement. I would rather be more emotionally connected to Cody and Roman than I would Sami and Roman.
It's not what you want. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give you some time to think on it. Eshaun, I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna repeat the question so Rhodesia gets it. Do you think you'll be as emotionally invested in Cody Roman come WrestleMania as you currently are with Sami and Roman?
I see your question, but I see what Roy's trying to say too. Because Rhodesia right now, she's invested, but she doesn't want to see him at Mania, right? So
right,
that's a different type of investment. Because like, okay, you want to see someone's journey, but like the big stage is WrestleMania, so she doesn't want to see it on the big stage.
Which that's not the question. So I'm just saying, as of right now, which one do you think you'll be more invested come Mania time, or this story's been so good with Roman and Sami that I know that no matter what they give us in the next 2 months on TV, the emotional investment I have in Sami and Roman is going to beat Cody and Roman no matter what they give us?
Man, that question is more loaded than a pair of dirty diapers, brother. I mean,
yeah, no, that question is flawed. That question's flawed.
That's a full barrel, brother.
Yeah,
that's why I asked it.
So I'm gonna say this though, then I'll bring it back to you, Rhodesia. So like for me, I'm invested in Cody already, right? So like in Mania, I'm definitely gonna be invested. I know his story, right? And we can get into that. Like I know his 15-year story. I know we like to take situations and moments and put them in the vacuum, but this is a history for Cody. And this is what he's trying to talk about, like where he was, where he started, his come up as a man, as a wrestler, like, and then it's a legacy that he wants for himself and his family. I mean, like, I feel that. And as a fan, I've been on this journey from the start to AEW to where he is now to where I hope he's going to be at Mania. So I'm fully invested now. Like, to me, like the Sami bloodline, like storyline is like one of the best storylines for me. Like, for me, it's got to be top 5 of all time. Top 5 of all time. I don't want to rank it right now, but it's in the top 5 for me. So, like, and I never would have thought that I would have had this much investment in Sami.
Okay.
But, you know, just to not answer the question at the same time, like, if at Mania, I definitely want to see a Cody versus the Roman.
So I'm going to say why this question is flawed. Because then if I was to say other than answer your question, the answer as far as being more invested in Cody than Sami, I would be lying. This whole several months, we talked about how the Bloodline storyline has been the best storyline that we've seen in some time. Again, for me, best storyline in wrestling in modern time. And I call modern time the last 20 years for me. So naturally, that answer will be no, Sami and Roman right now is going to be where I'm more emotionally, you know, my emotions at. I have to, because this has been the best storyline that I've seen. So I guess to answer your original question, no, Cody will not be invested more than Sami, but we know I don't really want to see them at Mania. But to answer that question, it would have to be Sami.
And to that point, that's why it is not a loaded question, because the Twitter results were 47% no. They do not think they'll be as emotionally invested as they are right now for Sami and or for Cody and Roman. It was 53% yes, that they think they will be as emotionally invested in Cody and Roman come Mania as they currently are with Sami and Roman.
Because they want to see Cody and Roman.
I was
and
blown
not Sami
away.
And Roman.
Which is great, which is fine. But that wasn't the question. But that's great for WWE. If we all know, we all in agreement that this is some of the best storytelling we've ever seen in wrestling history on television. And for us to do a poll and say, hey, do you think you'll be as emotionally invested in 2 months to someone that is not connected at all to this story? And it was 53% yes. So shout out to WWE and shout out to everybody who did that poll as well. I thought that was interesting, though. For me, it is a hard no. I don't know what they would be able to do. And I'm not turned off on Cody winning. We got 2 months. But I don't think there is any way I could be as emotionally invested with Cody and Roman, that story, as I am with Sami and Roman. Not saying that I think, hey, Sami should be in the main event of Mania, but if you did ask me, hey, gun in my head, what would I rather see at night 2 of Mania? I only got 2 choices. I got Roman and Sami, or I got Roman and Cody. Give me Roman and Sami. Or the only thing is if I knew the finish, and if the finish is Roman winning against Cody, give me that over everything else.
So again, your fear is you don't want Cody winning.
Yeah, not yet. But I think the shock in that stadium, I think the shock and the reaction in that stadium, if Cody loses, would be massive.
Roman will be, it will be really bad. Yeah, be real bad guy.
Nuclear heat.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love that. Good convo, guys. Other thing on Raw that I wanted to talk about, and I am super excited for it because the match and the viral moment we're going to get from these two are going to be off the charts. I think the last time Seth really had a moment that he'll be able to compare what he's going to be able to do with this opponent at Mania was when we saw the curb stomp turn into RKO with Seth and Orton.
Randy Orton.
At WrestleMania 31, was it? Was that 31?
Santa Clara,
Santa
right?
Clara. Yeah,
I
Santa
don't remember
Clara.
the year.
So whatever that was. I think we can get something similar to that with Seth and Logan Paul. They teased it on Raw where Kathy Kelly asked Seth, hey, anything you want to say about Logan Paul? You know, seeing he threw you out. Seth didn't want to touch it. And then today on social media, Logan Paul puts out a tweet showing him throwing Seth over the top and calls him a clown. I think we know we're heading there. I put it on social media. I think that when Entertainment Tonight or whoever else, right, you know, all the press of Hollywood gets a hold of Seth Rollins and knowing that, hey, he is Logan Paul's opponent, I think they're going to eat him up. I think this is a really big spot for Seth. And he deserves it. You know, he's not going to be in the main event spot in Mania, but this match can be just as big in the press as any match minus Roman that he would get either night for WrestleMania. So shout out to Seth. He deserves this for the way he's hunked over the last year. We talked about it last year. This man lost almost every major match he was in, and it didn't matter because that's just how good he was. He continued to get himself over. So for him to get a prime spot, kind of like what we saw from Sami last year with Johnny Knoxville. No, it was not close to a main event, but that was a lot of what the press was talking about, was the Jackass match with Johnny Knoxville. And I think it's going to be something similar, but the matches I think is going to be fantastic. So what's your guys' thoughts about Seth and Logan? Do you think that that's a good spot for him, or by some chance do you feel like that's a demotion for Seth Rollins?
I think that is a wonderful spot for him. And to that point of that interview with Kathy Kelly, I don't think I've ever seen Seth speechless. He walked away from that like, I ain't touching this right now. So just that right there, we already know that maybe Logan Paul is under his skin a little bit. And again, I don't think I've ever seen Logan Paul not execute when he's, as far as performance and then also by his entertainment. I don't think I've ever seen Logan Paul not hit both of those. So, and we know Seth can go. Seth can put me over in a match. That's how good Seth is. So to me, I think this is a really great spot, and he will get that notoriety from the media that is well deserved from him.
Yep.
You know, the horrible thing is in that segment, I only remember Kathy Kelly. I don't remember Seth even being in the segment. Is that a shame? I legit don't.
I like Kathy Kelly too, so
I don't remember him being in that segment. But as far as the match, I'll be honest with you, like all the setup and promo leading up to it, I won't really be invested in. I'm just, like I like Seth, but he just doesn't do it for me outside of his matches. And now at Mania, I think it's gonna be a good match because I think Logan, man, like when they're ready to make him a heel, it's gonna be ready, man, because he just oozes heel to me, like just.
Well, I think he's a heel now.
Is he a heel now?
I think he's a heel now. Yeah, but if you see the way he worked in the Rumble, he came in super cocky. He was fighting the faces. Yeah, so I think they turned him at the right time, and you got to turn him if you're going to have him go against Seth at Mania. And that's one of the things that was really cool. We got to give Triple H and his team props on this too. And we'll talk about this. I don't know if we're going to talk about it on this show, maybe, in a couple of weeks. But they brought Charlotte back to take the title off of Ronda. But now we know they brought her back to take the title off of Ronda and to make her face just to get to Rhea and Charlotte at Mania. Back in the day in WWE, we would have gotten that return like in February just to have that match 3 weeks later, right? Where Triple H and his team had the foresight to say, okay, no, let's bring her back in December, have her as a face, have her get some programs in with some heels, and then let's lead that to Rhea Ripley. I think that is awesome. I think the same thing here with Logan Paul. I think if it wasn't the Triple H regime, I think we see him as a face in the Rumble, and then he comes out and cuts a promo for no reason in February or March. That's heelish, and we're like, where did this come from? And then Seth interrupts him. So I just want to shout that out because I thought that was really good storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's gonna be a good banger of a match, man. Because say what you want about Logan Paul, man, he got it. Like I've never seen anybody pick up wrestling this quickly like this. Kurt Angle. I think we talked about it before. Kurt Angle was one that really transitioned very, very quickly. But from a dude who just a boxer and a YouTube guy to all of a sudden come into the sport and perform this well. Wow.
I still think Bad Bunny came in looking real great too. Bad Bunny impressed me too, like big time.
Bunny did a good job
too. Yeah. What is that? How many matches has Bunny had? 2 or 3, right?
I'm thinking 2, but it might be 3 then.
Is that including the Rumble? So he was in the Rumble last year. He had the Mania match. That was it for him, right? So far?
I thought he had another warm-up match, didn't he? Like a tag team?
No,
I don't think so.
2 spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but and as well as he didn't like Logan Paul shine so much brighter, right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not even close. Before I get to, I got a thumbs up from Raw, and then I got a thumbs way, way down from Raw. But I'll save those. What you guys got from Raw? Anything that tickled your fancy or you were passionate about that you had to come in and spew some venom about from this past Monday?
We could just double down on the Rhea thing, and I was so surprised that it was Rhea going after Charlotte and her interview that she did. I thought that was really, really good. That rivaled to me the Cody one, just because again I was shocked. So that the shock appeal there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. you already know the other ones, but Rhea announcing that she's taking on Charlotte. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like Rhea's a good girl to me. Like, just how passionate she was about it. How she said, oh, we wrestled before, but I'm better now. I've gotten better now. Man, like, how can you kind of hate her?
There is no way Charlotte gets cheered over Rhea in LA.
I don't know how.
It is
I don't know how.
Possible. And this story is a story that Triple H has been waiting to tell for 2 years. I remember, I think it was a press conference. It was some type of interview Triple H had after Charlotte and Rhea at Mania. If you guys remember, that was the pandemic Mania where it was at the Performance Center. And he basically said there was a reason why Charlotte won. You guys will see in the future with the story we're going to tell. But the story stopped. And I think, as we can see, one of the first things that Triple H wanted to do was get back to this story. And she kind of harkened back to that in the promo of, yes, you beat me 2 years ago. I am completely different, though. I like a challenge. This is not your division. I'm coming after you. As much as I would have loved to see Bianca and Rhea, I'm willing to see how this story takes place. And then I'm also interested to see, too, is this the beginning of the end of Judgment Day? Or at least with Rhea, because if she is going to face Charlotte, which is on SmackDown, if she wins that belt, which she's going to win, I can't see a world where Charlotte beats her at Mania. That sends Rhea to SmackDown. Now, we don't know when the next draft is going to be, so maybe the Judgment Day can go to SmackDown, but as it would be the night after Mania, Judgment Day is going to be on Raw, and Rhea's going to be on SmackDown. So I think that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. I was really surprised by that as well. I thought we were getting Bianca and Rhea for sure, right? So I was really surprised that she chose Charlotte, and I understood through the promo. I got a couple of things though. So I was looking at Johnny Gargano.
Oh boy,
and Dexter, like man,
oh
like
boy.
Right?
Did you just snort?
I said, oh boy.
Oh.
That was my thumbs way down. Go ahead and take it away, man.
Like, well, I don't really have a thumbs down. Like, I just so interested in the match, right? So I'm gonna let you have it. But I just thought, well, you know what? Why don't I just turn those dudes heel? Turn Johnny heel. He can be an obnoxious little heel, right?
Can, yep.
And then Dexter could be his heavy. He don't say nothing anyway, right? He can stand there and look mean and be the bodyguard type. Like, I think that'd be a much of a better transition for them than them trying to force feed these guys as baby faces that no one's connected to. Let Johnny be swarmy. Let him be disgusting. Let Dexter be his heavy. And also, what's his name? I want to call him Noah. Jonah, I meant. Bison Reed. Bronson Reed.
Bronson.
He looked impressive to me on Raw. Like, Bronson looked really impressive. Like, he looked like like a monster.
That was my thumbs up.
Oh, that's your thumbs up. Okay. So
that was my thumbs
connected.
up, man. Yep. That's how you get a bigger signing over. I'm not saying, literally his size. I'm saying you want to make him a big deal. This is how you do it. And they have protected him and they made him a big deal really, really quick. I loved it. They made him the monster that he should be already. But I'd love that.
He looks like a monster.
Yeah. And that's how you bring somebody in and make them a big deal, is create that sense of, oh man, nobody wants to see this guy. And they've done that, I think, in only 2 matches so far.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, man, to your point, dude, Johnny, I'm over it. I am. I'm over it. Yeah, the heel thing. Yeah, the heel thing could work. But I was sitting there watching it on Monday, and I thought to myself, I am sure they are happy. I am sure they're making a ton of money. But from a entertainment and wrestling standpoint, they both should have went to AEW when they had their shot. Because
who are they? Candace and Johnny?
Candace and Johnny.
Okay. I think it's about Dexter.
We saw it even in the Rumble. We talked about it on the post show. Yeah. Johnny was in the match for 30 minutes. Did nothing to get himself over. He didn't have a spotlight spot where you're like, man, he lasted 30 minutes. He's on his way. It was more like, okay, he was in there for 30 minutes. What else happened? So he is in the chamber. So he did win Monday. So hopefully maybe they heat him up in the Elimination Chamber. I think that match is going to be fire for the U.S. title.
The only thing about him going to AEW, like everybody wrestles that same style. He would have went over there And, you know, we'll be, I guess it wouldn't matter because we'll be like, you know, sitting here like 3 months later, like wondering what happened to Johnny Gargano, why he ain't wrestling on the show anymore, right? At least on Raw, they're featuring him every week, giving them something to do. It's just not hitting, right? They got the time for him. They haven't just found the right spot, the right story for him. I mean, we saw what he did at NXT. Now, I'll be full disclosure for me, though. I was kind of tired of Johnny Gargano like the last year and a half in his NXT run.
Oh,
like
no.
even
Wow.
like the way wasn't really hitting for me.
Same.
But he shows the
Well, yeah,
personality.
when it was him, Theory, Indy, which I love Indy, like I said, it's time for her to come to the main roster. But yeah, like that whole thing, it was cool, but it was nothing like Black and Gold, Johnny against, it was
Ciampa.
Yeah,
Hey,
buddy.
but is it? I mean, there's opportunity for him, right? If Ciampa comes back, it might be a good tag team run for DIY, right? I mean, there's opportunity for him. I don't think he will have on AEW because that roster is so stacked. They don't have as much TV time, and there's so many dudes that do the same thing he does. You know, I just don't get it. Oh, and the last thing for me, Matt, and turn it back to you, man. Like, I was sitting. I loved Raw, by the way. I loved every
really
moment
good.
of it for
Went
a
quick,
3-hour show. Yeah, for a 3-hour show too.
You didn't
man.
love every moment. We just trashed Johnny Gargano for the last 2 minutes. So
Hey, I will say though, like more disclosure, I did fast forward through that. I wasn't that
So what
bothered
you
by
watched if Raw was good.
right,
Yeah.
that 3-hour
Yeah.
show turned into a 50-minute show. So all he watched
Yeah.
was Cody's promo and Cody's match at the end.
I
That's why he didn't. That's why he didn't remember Seth. He's like, I don't remember Seth being there.
I don't remember
Kathy.
Seth though. I remember Kathy though, but no. I enjoy like the Finn Balor and Cody. Like I'm huge into Finn Balor right now. I think he's doing exceptional jobs like the rest of Judgment Day. I think he's actually doing a lot right now. I love that first time ever match that we had. But yeah, I thought this was a fantastic show.
It was really good. Yep,
Yeah.
it was and it went by quick for it to be 3 hours. This is what we want, but we know Mania season. This is what we should get. So, Rhodesia, did you have anything? So that was all I
Nope.
had for Raw.
That
Okay.
is it for me.
Hey, I do got
I
another
do-
question for you guys though, real
Yeah.
quick, because I listened to Busted Open and a couple other shows, and a lot of them always say, you know what, they don't see a big difference with Raw under Triple H than they did, let's say, a year or so ago. And to me, as a fan, I feel like I see huge differences. Right now, I've said that some Raws seem like they drag a little bit, like it seems like they're taking 2 hours of content and stretching over 3 hours sometimes. But it's still good. It just seems like they're stretching it out. But there's been times for me when I used to watch Raw, and I got totally disenchanted with Raw like years ago. But it just seemed like it was the same matches over and over again. It seemed like you watch one Raw, you've seen them all. I felt like I can stop watching Raw for 2 months, and then I can just pick right back into it. Like, I just don't have that feeling. I mean, am I alone? Are these shows still similar with Triple H at helm as they were when Vince was?
You mean as far as do I feel different like this time last year as far as these 3-hour shows aren't feeling as like a marathon as much? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, you more? I mean, I guess we're all more invested in the show now. But do you feel like these shows are the same as they always been?
No, I mean, of course not. I think since and I still call it this a honeymoon stage, but we've been in this now 6 months, almost, or just over 6 months to the date. So this might just be what it is. Now, Raw has had in the 6 months some really flat Raws as well. But overall, you can't even compare it. At least for me as a fan, you can't even compare it.
The big difference for me, there's been some boring Raw shows recently. They hit a lull after Survivor Series, and it went through December, where I'm like, man, this isn't really that good. But the difference is, never once did I watch that show and think to myself, one, man, why am I watching this? Or two, they are completely taking my viewership for granted. And I felt that
You're
all the
insulting
time.
my intelligence.
big.
Yep.
That's
Back
big,
in the day. Yep. You sit there and you watch, you just say, this is embarrassing that this is what they're giving me. And I keep coming back because I love this art form so much that I don't know any different than not to watch. I haven't gotten that once. I honestly, like, there's been some things that I have not really enjoyed. And we can probably even go back in the next month or two. Maybe that's something we'll do right around Mania time and revisit the Triple H hirings and say, hey, okay, where are we at now? Now it's been, whatever,
That'd be
8 months,
good,
9
yeah.
months, but even with the people that are not connecting, they still are not insulting my intelligence.
Right.
We're not getting the same match 3 weeks in a row with no reason of why these matches continue to happen 3 weeks in a row.
Or I'm supposed to act like I didn't see what happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Or they don't even mention what happened 2 weeks ago. So it's like, okay, I'm not even getting paid off for even watching your product each week. So, no, I think that was a good question. But no, I think, it's definitely different. It is different.
You hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, for sure. Today, Shawn Michaels did host a NXT conference call. If you guys don't know, their premium live event is this Saturday. The streets are saying, and I'm not the streets, or maybe I am the streets, that Shawn Michaels' name should be the notorious HBK because of that wandering eye he has. I think that's pretty crazy. I think that's pretty crazy. But back to the conference call notes. A couple of things I just want to get your guys' thoughts on. Just a couple of highlights. Vince McMahon, he said Vince McMahon has had nothing to do with creative, and main roster stuff is hands off with NXT. Shawn said he believes Vince has bigger fish to fry, and he doesn't really ask about him.
The way Nash tell it, yeah, try not to go to jail for this $1.2 billion.
He said he did not and could not fire Mandy Rose. He said it was not an ideal exit, but said that she's a fantastic performer, and he thinks the world of, and he really liked working with her. He had to make a call creatively, and they had to put the brand first. Said he doesn't talk to Triple H much, but he's expecting call-ups sooner rather than later, despite not being given any info on them. And then he said that they told him that they wanted some wrestlers for the Rumble from NXT. They only needed female talent this time around. Shawn Michaels said he gave them some feedback, I guess, on maybe who to take. So those are probably like the really, really, really high-level notes from it. I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Anything that tickled your guys' fancy from those notes?
Just a question. This has nothing to do with wrestling, but I remember listening to those calls with H, and I just remember feeling like kind of almost like an insider, and he carried his calls very well, talked very intelligently and eloquently. How did that sound? Shawn Michaels have it too? Does he sound like a businessman?
Yep, he does. It's not really a business, no, but you feel like you're getting the correct answer from him.
Cool. Okay.
The notorious HBK definitely represented himself very well.
He's looking at me and you, right?
Man, he was looking at everybody.
Damn.
I was like, look at this guy.
Oh man,
We got 50 people on the call, and he's checking everybody out. That's crazy.
Stop.
No, it's horrible.
Just saying,
I'm
man.
surprised you said that H and they don't talk more often.
Yeah, interesting, right? I mean, I guess maybe not if they're both really busy, but you would think they would touch base more than they do. Just like, just on. If I wanted to be a pessimist, my worry with that would be if they're not talking often, can we expect the same character that we see on NXT when they do get caught up? That would be my only worry. Like, oh man, are we going to go through that again where there's big tweaks to what we see their presentation be when they hit the main roster? But I'm going to assume that won't be the case.
But often could also be relative. So if they used to talk to each other every single day, and now they talk to each other once a week, that's not as often.
Yeah, that's true.
But you would think though if they talked weekly, he would say, "Yeah, we talk every week."
Yeah, that sounds different. Yeah, but at the same time though, I'm sure they're very close, been around each other forever. I'm sure they know each other, right? Because I think Rico had even said in one of the interviews, I think with Renee, he did after he left the company, was on AEW. He said that he and Triple H didn't talk very often. But you hear about how close they are. But he said they didn't talk very often. But he said sometimes, at an event or at a show, Triple H would shoot him a look, and and Rico looked right back at him. He said he knew exactly what was on his mind, exactly what he wanted, and they left it at that. Yep. So maybe they don't need to talk very often to know each other's needs or what they want. So
it's a good call. Yep, it's a good call. Really good call. Anything on NXT? Like I said, there is the premium live event this Saturday. I'm sure I'll tune in to watch, but not going to do a deep dive or anything like that on this show. Anything you guys want to bring up from NXT before we move on to AEW?
Nope.
No, I tried to watch it the other night and I fell right to sleep, man. See, this is the problem. Like, to pull you guys back, like we try to have these conference calls on Tuesdays or these text meetings, and I try to turn on NXT and it knocks me right on out. It's the second week. I turned on NXT and fell right to sleep. So maybe there's something going on with NXT. I'm not watching on Saturday. I need to be up.
Or you just take that shot and you'll be up. Goes back to the shot, man. Goes back to the first 2 minutes of this podcast episode where you just didn't do it. You didn't do it.
Also, I don't really have liquor in the house either, so I don't, there's that.
Anywho, AEW. Hey, shout out to AEW. Want to give them a shout out. They are starting house shows. This is going to be so big for the company and for the wrestlers. Man, it is not even funny how big this is going to be. They are starting, I believe, March 18th. Yep, first one is March 18th. It is called AEW House Rules. I think this is fantastic. I really do.
Date you said?
March 18th.
Okay, so that's very soon.
Just bought them. Yep. Tickets go on sale this Friday, and I believe tickets go on sale for the other house shows in a couple of weeks. So I personally can't wait to get to one of these house shows because Eshaun broke it down the week of Christmas how fun the WWE live event was, and that's what house shows are. For the talent, it's going to give them a structured environment to wrestle under,
to practice,
not going on the independence. And yes, that's getting them time in the ring and getting their timing down and getting their bumps in. But for them to be able to be under the AEW structure and work on spots, work on moves, work on timing, work on character changes that they want to see if it works out before it gets to TV. I think this is going to be fantastic. I saw some information or some people talking on social media like, oh, this sucks. This is one of the only reasons why AEW was better to work for than WWE because they didn't do live events. They're not running live events every weekend. So they're not doing, the loop of, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the way WWE does. I think they're going to be strategic on where they have them, when they have them. My only hope is this is profitable for them. Some of their houses have been light. Yesterday, I think they had 3,900 people in the building. The entire hard cam side was empty. So if they're getting, 4,000 in for a great show like last night, what can they expect to get at a house show? Now we know I'm sure the arenas they're going to are going to be much, much smaller. You're probably talking maybe 1,000 to 1,800 houses. Production costs should of course go down because of that. But I think it's fantastic. Like I said, my worry is just that hopefully it is not a lost for them running these type of shows, but I think it is 2 thumbs way up just for the growth and development of the talent. What you guys think?
If they can get some money from that deal that they did on the international deal of being able to show on the zone, maybe that can kind of help with the cost because of course it's not going to cost as much to have a live show than a regular show because it is a much smaller arena, but you still have to pay for the logistics of it and getting people there, getting the ring there. But I think the risk to reward the payout is going to be so much better because you are going to get all of these homegrown talents of AEW that's just going to, in this next year, they're just going to catapult to the next level because now they can practice, like you said, in this structure with, you can go to indies, but you're probably not wrestling that person next week on Wednesday. You can actually wrestle the same person that you have a storyline, a program with, a campaign with, not just that random independent wrestler who's also there for a payday. So I think this is going to be fantastic. And hopefully he's a businessman. He'll figure out how the money works, but I'm happy for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down for growth. My only concern is exactly what you said, Matt, is that I hope these shows sell well. I just remember at the last AEW show, I believe I went with my brother-in-law we talked about months ago. And I remember texting you when I got there, and I think you asked me, it's like, hey, how's the attendance? And I remember, it was definitely fewer people at that show because I remember going to the show, and I think I was probably, I think dark started at like 7. I got there like 7:30, and I was able to easily find a parking spot. I mean, I was able to go right into the parking garage, perfect parking spot, right? And I remember a year before that, like fighting to find a parking spot. I think I had to pay valet or something like that. That's the only thing that was available that was close by. So fast forward going into the arena, and then like I said, just noticing like half the people are there. I remember like the concession stands, like you can, I remember standing in line for like 25 minutes at the concession stand. That's how long it was. Wow. I was in and out of that concession stand. I was in and out maybe in 5 minutes. So I'm just hoping that, they do well with these shows. I hope they get great attendance. I hope all the benefits that they're looking for, they are able to get. But I'm concerned.
Yeah, I hope, and we'll see with them going to new markets. That should be a thing too. I know that was one of the things that Jeff Jarrett, that's one of his jobs, is to, really schedule out and structure their live event schedule. One of the things he talked about was taking these house shows to, B, C, and D market. So, Atlanta's not getting it, but maybe Duluth gets it. Chicago's not getting it, but maybe Rockford gets it. Detroit's not getting one, maybe Grand Rapids, gets one. So I think that's going to help that piece too. And that's probably also where you get some of these smaller arenas in those areas too. Hey, you're not going to get a Dynamite. You're not getting a Rampage, but come out and check out our live event. So I am looking forward to that. Not much details came to this, but this also came out today. According to Bloomberg, AEW is also considering starting a streaming service, likely through a deal with its broadcast partner, Warner Brothers Discovery, according to a person familiar with the management's thinking who asked not to be named. So I guess no snitches over in AEW. Last year, AEW broke $100 million in annual revenue for the first time, the person says. Have no idea what that has to do with the story, but whatever. So allegedly, we're looking at streaming. I hope that is the case. Get those pay-per-views on that streaming service, and I think that is also going to grow their business. These $50 pay-per-views, if you are not a fan of AEW, I don't see many casuals take CM Punk out of it because we know what he brought. I just don't see them buying some of these pay-per-views. But I think that's a great piece of business for us and for them. If they can come up with a streaming service where we get pay-per-views, maybe we even get ROH bundled onto that too. Now you're cooking.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a little concern on that too, to be honest with you, man. Like, if they're gonna put the pay-per-views on there, like they're getting $50 from us, right? And like on average, I think they're doing well with the pay-per-view sales. I'm not sure if they've been going down, but $50 versus like $10 or $15 a month that's a big difference, right? Especially if they're not growing that audience to kind of compensate for the dollar that they're going to lose. I think it'd be a great deal for the fans, like if they can bundle AEW with the ROH, because we already had reservations on if the Ring of Honor, the $10 a month was really going to hit with that audience, right? Because the AEW fans already said they didn't want ROH on their TV. Now are they going to willing to spend $10 to see them separately? I don't think so, right? So I got some concerns. I mean, I'm all for companies growing their business, but sometimes I feel like more of something isn't the best option. I think sometimes it's the quality. So again, like whatever they're going after, I'm sure they have a business plans, and I hope like the pros outweigh the cons and it's successful.
But then typically with like when WWE went to the network, you only get about half the pay-per-view cost. The other half goes to the cable satellite companies. I don't know what type of deal they have with Bleacher Report. I don't know what those splits look like. So say if it's a similar split for AEW and the pay-per-views are $50, that means they're probably seeing $20 to $22 of that. So to your point of, Eshaun, hey, if they come with a streaming service and if it's $10 or $15 a month, you're damn near breaking even for the amount of more people who would buy it at $10 a month, $15 a month, than who's willing to shell out, $50 4 times a year. So, as we always say, more will be revealed soon. Dynamite was last night. Thought it was another great show. Man, what a stiff, violent match we had with Moxley and Hangman. Boy, oh boy. And one part I feel upset because I'm like, man, Moxie's still not getting that vacation. I'm gonna just give up on trying to get him a vacation because evidently he don't care. So if he don't care, why am I caring about his vacation? But
he had 2 weeks, so that was his vacation.
Yeah, and I guess that was it, right? What you guys think
we
about
still talking about this vacation? Hey, Matt, let Brody go pee.
Oh, she gotta go back. Too bad. If she's gotta go, guess what? We run right through this. We keep it going.
Okay,
Oh well,
Mox
too bad.
Mox and Hangman, great. Next match. Okay, go ahead. This is the next match.
Eshaun, I need you to deep dive it. Take as long as you want, sir. The first match. Give me what you thought on Mox and Hangman. Was it? I mean, now we can see that this feud is not over. Which I guess I didn't know what to expect from a storyline perspective. Maybe we get the blow off at Revolution here, in March. But what was your thoughts about the match and the story at the end where they still wanted at each other? And hey, we know it's not over yet.
Man, I got to tell you guys something. I didn't like the show that much.
Ooh.
I didn't like it that much. I mean, it was all right. It was all right. But my question is, when I see these shows, right? Like, so we had that.
Did you watch the show?
Hold
on a second. Did you watch the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you fast forward through it? Or I should say, what did you fast forward through?
Oh, just the match you spoiled for me. Everything else I watched. But here's my question, right? You asked me, like, I think about the match. We had a very bloody, hard-hitting match right in the opener, right? And then we got another one right at the end.
I thought about that.
Like sometimes when AEW, they give you too much of a good thing. And so, so we're going to get that hard-hitting, hardcore, almost hardcore style match in the beginning. Like, now I'm kind of tapped out by it when I get to the end, right? And that was my thing, is sometimes when I watch the show, and I felt like that a few times while watching, I was like, man, they give you so much of a good thing that sometimes, like, you just, like, I feel like, all right, if I'm a guy that likes sugar, right? But then you just overload me with sugar. By the end, I'm like, damn, I don't want any more sugar. And that's how I kind of felt watching that show. For me, that's why I didn't enjoy it too much.
Is what
it
you're
was
saying.
Too much.
Too much of a good thing. I had that same thought, not feeling. I had that same thought watching the show and watching that main event. I thought there's people out there who have probably had their fill of what they're getting right now, so it's not going to have the same impact. And you're right. I do wish they would save some of the either, hard hitting spots or some of the things that, hey, if we're going to see it in one match, I don't want to see it again, let alone, back-to-back matches. So they did bookend it. At least it was first and last. But I can see your point for sure, because if that Darby and Samoa Joe match is on any other show by itself, where say if everything else was just regular wrestling and maybe some comedy stuff, and you had that, that's probably what we're talking about.
No doubt.
And I don't really know what we're talking about after Dynamite. That was kind of that big thing of what do you want us to remember from this show?
And that's how I felt at the end.
And that, in full transparency, I'm looking at this at a completely different level, because I didn't start watching Dynamite until almost the beginning of the second hour. So I actually really missed the Jon Moxley and Hangman Page. And I think there was something also that happened with Dr. Britt Baker. So I didn't see that. So I was actually going to have the Darby Allin and Samoa Joe, and I'm still debating it as my moment of the week, because I thought that match was incredible. I didn't see the first match. So I guess exactly to your point, where at the end of watching that show, you're like, okay, well, if they were on any other episode, that'd be it. That's all you'd be talking about. And that's kind of how I'm feeling, because I did not see the first match between Mox and Hangman Page, unfortunately. But I thought the show was actually really great from what I was able to see. I really liked the Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, Takeshita and Brian Cage had a match, right?
He took a really nice step forward last night. He had a great match with Brian Cage. Well, more, Takeshita. He had a great match with Brian Cage. Then you couple that with the run-in to save
yes, that's what it was.
Brian
the Daniel Bryan. Yeah,
in
exactly.
The match.
Yep.
Then you triple that up with the pull-apart Raw with MJF in the back, which
I love that.
I said it last night. I thought that was cool, but AEW, please pay attention to details. It was a pre-tape.
I know where you're going.
It was a pre-tape. MJF comes out in his black shirt that he's selling on AEWshop.com. And then he shows up in the back after the pull-apart
purple
Raw
shirt
with a blue shirt on.
something like with no sweat marks. He doesn't
Yeah,
look like he got into any kind of
man,
scruff or anything.
So we going down the line, and y'all booed me because I said this show wasn't the
No,
greatest, right?
I said I liked it. I just don't like that how they didn't pay attention to detail with that.
Yeah, I'm
That's
saying
another
we
thing, that
just
was
talked
part of
about
it.
how great
We just going
Takeshita
down
was.
Yeah.
We talked about
Oh,
the first
that
match,
guy-
how great it was.
Oh, that guy was just up. Yeah, we going on this. And let's just go into the Bryan Danielson thing. Like, I have a hard time. I actually have no investment in any of these matches that he's in. Zero.
Because you know the finish already.
I know the finish. So that means I'm not invested in anything. I'm not invested in any near falls. I'm not invested in any of the false finishes. I'm not invested in anything because I know at the end of the story he's gonna get up winning, right?
Those matches are just for wrestling matches. Hey, put on a banger of a match, have a great time in these 12 to 15 minutes as a fan. But to your point, like we know
that's not why I mean, yeah.
I actually can appreciate that more because we know the ending of it and it still is great. Like his I have out of this whole little rise to MJF, I've loved all his matches individually. They all had their own style, and for us to know that he is going to win, well, I think he is going to win. I never thought for a moment he would lose any of these matches so far. I still think that it entertained me. So I get your point.
But the cool thing though to that, I guess the counter argument would be, we know he's going to win these matches, but we don't know what body part is going to be hurt in the match. They've kind of told that story in each match, right? So we know Thatcher has no shot against him, but how hurt is he going to be against Roosh next week? And I think next week is the last match in this series. I think if he beats Roosh, then he gets MJF at the pay-per-view, if my math is right. But duly noted. I see what you're saying, but for me, we know. So now I can just take those matches as just watching them and then just trying to enjoy it. But I did think that match was great. I loved Jade winning and going 50-0. I thought that the title match, the TNT match, was what it should have been, which was brutal. I do wonder if my assumption is going to be they put the title on Joe last night because Warlow's back now to put the title back on Warlow. That's going to be my assumption.
Warlow looked great. Warlow looked great.
Would you guys say the same?
Yeah, it had to. At first, I thought that for a second. I'm like, how I'm so mad that Samoa Joe and Darby Allin was going to actually have a final match. I hated it, the thought of it. But at the end of it, I loved it. I thought the match actually was amazing. I gave that 2-way thumbs up. And then to the point when they did that off the turnbuckle, I forgot whatever the move was that he actually pinned Darby on.
The muscle buster.
The
muscle buster.
Yep. And then he pinned Darby with it. I couldn't get mad. And I was like, man, F this. Samoa Joe shouldn't be going after this belt. Let Darby keep it. But I wasn't mad. And then right after that, once I was at peace with, actually I wasn't mad. He should have got pinned off of that. Then when Warlow come running out, I'm like, then there you go. That was for that. It was for Warlow to get it back because he still has that unfinished business with Samoa Joe.
I love the way you say Samoa Joe, actually.
Do you think it was too much of too soon with getting the belt off of Darby?
You read my mind. That's what it is, man. Like how many times has this title traded like in the past 2 months? Like almost every other week, right?
No, I mean
twice.
Darby got it from Joe a month ago, and then Darby was putting on banger after banger weekly. Which now I guess we also now know why he was wrestling weekly because he wasn't going to have that long of a reign. And I really did think this reign would have been special if he would have kept on that trajectory that he was going on because every single match was fantastic.
That boy good.
And that's another one. Yeah, I mean he was great. And then it was like, okay, we took it off of him, but hey, if the end of the day it is to heat Warlow back up, no complaints from me because we've been talking about hashtag Where's Warlow since the summertime. So
and Darby's going to survive. Darby will survive.
But no, look. So Warlow loses, Samoa gets it.
Yep.
Samoa loses, Darby gets it.
Correct.
Right. Darby loses again, Samoa gets it. Now Warlow's going to get it again.
Well, yeah. You don't want to title. You don't want to go, but you don't want to go Warlow and Darby either.
No.
So you got to put it on the heel to get it back on Warlow.
Yeah, sounds like a lot.
You know, but I thought overall, I thought the show was really, really good. That's my only knock was that pre-tape with MJF. And he tried to cover it on social media by saying, you ripped my $12,000 shirt. I'm gonna charge. It's like, no, dude, we could see that was a pre-tape. They got to get better with that. One last thing I do want to say.
What about Ricky? Wasn't Ricky on that show too?
No, he was not. But we got the.
What was that Rampage?
We got that promo segment in the back where
Yeah.
there's the invitational where he's got to go through him and. Don't get me started on
Sami and them two.
And
Garcia.
he wants to prove that he can beat him, right?
Yeah.
He beat him
Did he
already,
prove
man.
that?
Like,
Yep, he sure did.
I'm gonna skip past that. But what I was going to say was what I do need from AEW, and this was from Rampage. Did you watch Rampage Friday? E, did you watch the end of it
I did.
with the main event with Jamie and Emmy, I should say. Slow down, AEW. This is a public service announcement from the TFW podcast. Slow down, please, AEW. Let things breathe. Just really quick, if you guys didn't see it, main event was Emmy and Jamie. Great match. All I heard all week was the women put on a really strong match. I didn't know who won. I had a feeling, of course, Jamie won. So I walked in without knowing any spoilers. Watched the match. Super impressed. Hard hitting, fast action. It did what it needed to do. The match finishes. We get Britt pulling her up. I think handing her a title. Arm goes up. We're off the air.
Yeah.
Before we could see one replay from the match. Before we get the money shot of Jamie with her hand raised high, and that is the thing that I am trying to remember from this show, is she just successfully defended her belt again. We're off to watching some movie that's on TNT. Slow down. And that's a taped show. You got to slow down. I get the whole, if our show is 60 minutes, we're going to pack 59 minutes and 59 seconds full of action. But that, you got to slow down. You got to let me know. I should be able to, at 11:01 Eastern time, know what I should remember from that show. And with a lot of these shows, it's just like, it was all thrown to me like a buffet. And I'm sitting there after I just ate everything with a stomach ache, like, man, why did I do that? I don't even know what I ate. I just know it was a lot. They got to slow down. They have to slow down.
It's a huge difference between having them wanting more and rushing. And it just feels like a lot of times it's rushing. And like you said, that match was actually really good. But like you said, we're watching the beginning Lionsgate of the next movie that's coming on. Like, yeah, you gotta let it simmer just a little bit. And there is a fine line, but you should know, if you're producers, you're getting paid millions of dollars or thousands of whatever. This is your expertise. You should know, hey, when it's rush versus when you leave them wanting more. Two totally different feelings.
Yeah, they need better editing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
and
slow
it's
down,
like you said, and it's a Rampage. It's not even live. Come on.
Like, you had a week with that. Slow down. Yep. So let's go into something else. And we're making Rhodesia hold her urine. I guess she had to go to the bathroom like 15 minutes ago. But you got to rock it out. Or you can go. Or you can just give up this next segment and don't worry about it. And then when you come back, after you wash your hands, you take care of yourself, you get in where you fit in.
Well, I'm not a punk, so we can rock this out. Let's go.
Is that with those shots?
It's another shot. Oh my god!
All right, so we're gonna do a quick thing. We decided it'd be fun for us to take one female from AEW, one female from WWE. In our opinions, we're gonna do the same thing for the males and say, hey, our job is to make both WWE and AEW the best it can be. If we can make one trade, champions are off the board. You cannot touch a title holder. But if you can make one trade for a female in AEW, for a female in WWE, who would it be to make both companies better? And you can make a trade for one male superstar in WWE and one male superstar from AEW to make both companies better. Who would it be? Rhodesia's giggling like a little schoolgirl, so I'm going to let you start, Rhodesia, with the females. What is your female for female trade?
This was like so much fun, but so anxiety driven or ridden. These were game time decisions. I will be trading because again, I'm the mediator of both teams, so I want to make sure
Correct.
both of them win.
You can, yep,
There's two
yep.
winners here. So who would be leaving AEW will be Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And who will be leaving WWE? Asuka. I think Asuka has a lot more hard-hitting, well, hell, Japanese wrestlers there, but a lot of hard-hitting, strong-style wrestlers that will kind of just complement how she or how Kana used to wrestle. I think that would be great for them. And Dr. Britt Baker going over to WWE because we know that DMD will sell like she could print money over in WWE.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Am I up?
Well, considering that Rhodesia took mines, Eshaun,
Aw.
I will let you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I also had Britt Baker for Asuka. Yep, 100%.
Oh, no, for real? You know
Yeah,
what that means?
that's
That means I should go to the bathroom.
Hey, I told you to go. Hey, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do.
And this is when the editing producer just like shakes his head like
Yeah.
Right,
We
we're
don't
not
need
live.
you.
We're not
Yeah,
live,
look,
though.
no,
We can
No,
read
we
this
don't.
up.
No, we're going to keep all this in. Eshaun, we
All right,
appreciate
bye.
your. Yeah, we're going to appreciate your efforts. No, we keeping all this in, pal. When she gets back, she gets back. It's all good. So who you got, Eshaun?
no.
Who you got, male or female for female?
Hey, so it's a great thing because I actually thought I was going to interject a female. I didn't actually know we were doing females. I was going to tell you I had a female. So it's
Okay.
great that I actually thought of one. But I'm going to do trade Jade for Bailey.
She's a champion. She's a champion. Can't do it. Remember,
And
champions
I don't
are
count.
off
I
the
don't
board.
count TBS as a champion.
Too bad. Doesn't count. Do another one. So you got Bailey as one. So you got Bailey already as one. Who would she be switched to make both companies better? And I would love, after you pick who are you're picking in AEW, you got to give me your thoughts on Bailey and AEW.
I guess I'll go DMD as well.
Okay.
I guess I'll go DMD. Because the reason I wanted to go Jade is because I think that she, well, like her under the bright lights of the WWE product and the machine.
That's a no-brainer. No-brainer, man.
Man, like, you know what I'm saying? And then in addition to that, like for me, like one of her biggest things is, you know, her in-ring work. I think she has so many more women to work with, and they probably can send her down to the PC. She can do her thing there. I think it'd just be a huge benefit for her. Because sky's the limit. As far as Bailey going to AEW, I think
that's an interesting one.
because for me, I think that what's one of the things that AEW lacks on the women's side is just competent, exciting women wrestlers, right? You got Jamie who's doing a great job. You know, in Sakura, she can go in the ring, right? But I think that they need another woman there that can not only go in the ring, but also bring personality. That's why Britt is on the show every week, right? She's not just one of the faces of the women's division. She's one of the faces of the company. Like, she has presence. She has promo. They need another woman like that on that roster. I think if you were to trade DMD and Bailey, it'd be a nice swap. Bailey can now be a face of the company, a face of the division, and DMD's great in the ring. I'm not gonna take that back. She's good in the ring. I think Bailey's great. I feel like a lot of the other women on the roster can learn from her in the ring. She can help make them better, and I think that's definitely what they need. It's just more competent, great wrestlers to kind of bring the rest of the division up with her. So for me, I think that'd be a great move.
Okay. So Rhodesia, he first tried to pick Jade. Once again, not ever paying attention. It's like, no, she's a champion.
Oh my God.
You can't do it. Yeah. And
I don't consider TBS a champion. Yeah, I don't.
And
I
he
don't
tried to
consider
fight
it
it by
a champion.
saying,
Yeah,
he was like,
it's not a championship.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you end up
My
going Bailey.
God.
Bailey for Britt. All right. Take us back to back, man. Who's your male? Who's your male for male?
So I'm trading Wardlow to WWE, and I'm taking back Dolph Ziggler.
Wow. Dolph Ziggler in AEW?
I'm taking Dolph Ziggler. Because for me, you know, like I was a big Dolph Ziggler fan. Like as soon as he made he had been in WWE for a couple times actually. I didn't remember him being Chavo's what is it? Golf guy. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When he
like
I didn't remember him, but I do remember he had some kind of, I forget what you call the the person that helps the golfer. I forget what they call
Yeah,
that guy.
the caddy, because that was after
Caddy.
Spirit
Caddy, a
Squad.
caddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but of course I remember from Spirit Squad. But when he came back as Dolph Ziggler, I was like, oh yeah, this dude, he's it. Like for me, I was like, oh, this guy's the next Shawn Michaels. He's the next Shawn Michaels. And then all of a sudden, you know, he became like just somebody you just don't care about anymore, right? You knew that no matter what he did, he's going to lose. I lost all faith in him. And the one thing I wish he would have did at some point, like Cody did, is I wish he would have bet on himself and left that company to revitalize his career. I think he could have went somewhere else, the Indies, wherever, and just kind of, you know, made a bigger name for him outside the company. Maybe come up with a new gimmick, learn a new hole, like Jim Ross would say. I think if you go to AEW, I think it'd be a clean, fresh start for him. And I think AEW needs more superstars. He carries himself like a superstar. He looks like a superstar. And not only that, he can teach some of these guys the main event wrestling style. I think that's solely what the AEW misses, is that they don't have guys that truly know how to work that main event style. I think he can teach so many guys just being in the ring with them. I think he can bring it on the mic. I think he would be revitalized because he's a funny guy. He's a comedian as well. So I think to him being able to ad-lib and write his own promos, I think he'd be a huge asset to that company. And again, same thing I was saying about Jay when I was trying to get her traded. I think Wardlow would truly benefit from being in the WWE machine more so than he is at AEW. I mean, he has the look, he has everything. I love the haircut he has right now. I think it'd be a phenomenal if he had that machine behind him, and I think he'll accelerate more in the ring as well.
Cool. Okay. Good stuff. Rhodesia, what you got?
I don't want to take yours. So you want to go?
I don't think you're going to take mine.
Okay. So
we'll see.
I
mean, if we're lockstep, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I have 3 guys that's leaving AEW. Eshaun took one. I think you're going to take this second one. So I'm going to go with my third choice.
No, I want you to no. Your job, I don't care. Your job is to make both promotions better. So I want to hear your best.
Yeah, no, both of these are back to back.
Cool.
So then,
cool.
Who I will be sending from AEW, I will be sending Jungle Boy.
It's a really good
and who
one. It's underrated.
And who I will be sending over from WWE. Again, that one was very hard. Oh, God. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Ricochet. And I'll tell you who I was going to say after you go.
Well, mine's a combination of both of yours. I have Wardlow for Ricochet. Sure do. Wardlow, of course, is ready-made for the WWE machine over there. Ricochet is somebody that you can put the TNT title on and say go, and he is going to have the best match every single week, bar none, on that show, without fail. I think both of them would raise their stock if they would make that flip. And I think both companies would be better if we made that flip.
Mm-hmm.
So you went with who?
Jungle
Ricochet?
Boy.
Jungle Boy. So then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
So with Jungle Boy, I could just see him again I'm looking at the money aspect of it. That character over there, I know that we're trying to get him to be Jack Perry, but over the WWE, they will probably have him as Jungle Boy. The kids will just love him.
Think about that merch.
They will
will
love him. Again, he can print money over there. So that's the reason why the other person would have been Ricky Starks. But I'm just looking purely at the money aspect. Them kids will go crazy over Jungle Boy.
That's interesting.
I like that.
He didn't mention Ricky Starks. I just knew he was going to go with Ricky Starks.
Mm-hmm.
No, I kind of went. I'll go Wardlow first. If I can do it a second, yeah, I would definitely pick Ricky to go over there.
He'll be 1A for you.
Yeah, Ricky will be but I like Wardlow. I think getting him over into the machine would be, especially what they're doing to him now. It's time to go.
So if we did include champions, are we all in agreement that Jade is by far the one in AEW?
Absolutely.
To go to WWE?
Well, Jade going, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then who would it be for WWE if everybody was on the board?
Another champion?
Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick a champion. Or would you stick with who you have? Or would you take one of the champions from WWE?
That wasn't hard on the WWE side. It'd probably still be Asuka. Because the champions over at WWE, I don't think they would do better over in AEW. I do want to mention a couple second tier, and this is about to sound really mean. I don't mean to say second tier, but some B card talent that I would do the trade for. I would send Anna Jay over to WWE for Sonya Deville.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a good trade for WWE because honestly, if I'm WWE and I take Anna, and I love me some Anna, I'll send her down to NXT. I'll send her to NXT.
Okay, it's part of WWE still.
Yeah, but I'll send her down to NXT. I'll send her probably for about a good year and a half, maybe 2 years. Let her, get better in the ring and develop a character. But whereas Sonya, she's TV ready now.
She is. Like
from a promo perspective, from in the ring, she's competent.
Yep.
It's probably as competent as anybody else on the AEW roster. I think she would be a immediate asset to AEW versus, Anna Jay will be a continual project.
But she can make them a whole lot of money later on.
Yeah. And what would be cool too with what would be cool with her, you pair her with Britt and you got like Mean Girls Part 2. Can you imagine them? Oh my God.
No, I can't.
They would be so irritating together. Sheesh.
Hey, you know what? As you say that, because you ever notice Anna Jay, like her faces, she makes like these weird faces that she makes like so exaggerated. I mean, yeah, you're right. That definitely working on WWE big screen TV.
Awesome, good stuff. All right, Rhodesia, take us home with the beautiful jingle.
It's the TFW moment of the week.
No sound effect this week, so I'm still trying to perfect it. So we'll figure out the whoosh, next week. My TFW moment of the week. If you do not know what TFW moment of the week is, it is anything we deem that we want to shout out wrestling related. Could be a match, could be a promo, could be a sign in the crowd, whatever. If it's wrestling related, it is up for grabs. My TFW moment of the week is Jade hitting her 50-0. And more than that, because that is a big deal. So I don't want to discount that. But for her to still have the imagination and to have the crowd as captivated by her as we are at 50 straight wins, I think that speaks to something. There's probably not more than a handful that could do that right now in wrestling. She's one of them, so kudos to her. But the big reason why it was my moment of the week was just to see her daughter's reaction to her winning. And her daughter overcome with emotion and crying and her taking her daughter to the back. That's what this is all about. If you are a parent to see, your kid react that way for something that you did positive, you cannot ask for more than that. So that is my TFW moment of the week. Jade, congrats, 50-0. Now I'm super excited for her to get that one so we can see her on house shows and see her really start elevating in an in-ring perspective. But shout out to her. Rhodesia, what is your moment of the week?
So I'm actually going to cheat because it happened since our last podcast, our third or Friday podcast, is the end of the Bloodline blow up breakup with Sami Zayn. So again, perfect storytelling.
Are you stop? Hold on.
You can't cut me off. This is my TFW
and I try,
moment of the week.
And I try.
Don't do that.
Eshaun, I need your help here. I try not to step on anybody's moment of the week.
No.
We've had an entire show and episode.
No, we messing up the whole end credits at this point by you debating me and my topic right now.
He's trying to take care of it. Who bringing it right? No, you can't. It's not. It didn't even happen this week. You can't.
It did.
It's called.
It happened.
It did not. It happened on Saturday.
It happened on Saturday. Happened in the last 7 days.
Saturday.
Happened. It's my TFW moment of the week. Thank you.
Your TFW moment of the week is absolute trash. Capital T, capital R, capital A, capital S, capital H, and then what you did in the bathroom just now.
I did.
That is what I think about you picking something that we talked for 30 minutes on last Saturday.
I even said that we didn't have a TFW moment of the week on that show, on that live stream. So no,
that is insanity.
No, you're gonna next time you're gonna call up to the TFW podcast and apologize to the Breakfast Club. That's what you're gonna do next time. Sorry. All right.
Well, I alluded to it earlier. My moment of the week is Cody's promo. It was emotional. It was an awesome promo because for me, I said I'm a super Cody fan and I want to see him do well. Everyone is in love with Sami, right? We're all rooting behind Sami. And so I was worried that on Raw, him coming out that he wouldn't get that reaction, but he got that reaction. Like, the crowd was definitely behind him. He cut a great returning promo. He came back like the returning hero that he is. Kudos to Cody. I'm glad you're back, baby. Let's run this all the way to WrestleMania. Let's get that win for the family. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, hey, cause they still family, man, because Brandy Rhodes is from Michigan. So,
from
hey,
let's throw up the cricket eye.
Yeah, Rhodesia went to high school with her sister or something like that, right?
Cousin, but
hey, it's all family. Hey, let's bring it back, family. Let's get to Mania. Let's get this dub. Cody, let's go.
Another successful podcast in the books. Hey, do me a favor, spread the word on the pod. Let your friends know. Tell your friends about us. If you enjoy us, which you do if you're still listening to us, let us know. Leave a 5-star review if you could, and a written review. That helps us, of course, in the rankings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. But spread the word and let everybody know. Hey, you got a new podcast you enjoy? It is TFW, That's Freaking Wrestling. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at That's FNW. And we do have YouTube, and big news. Full episodes are coming very, very soon to YouTube, which is a big deal. So subscribe there at That's Freaking Wrestling. So when that starts up, you'll be able to watch us in all of our glory for the entire hour and 40 minutes that we go, it seems like, every single week. So as always, thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll talk to you next week.